This week is Holocaust Remembrance Day, and I have a confession to make. I find it difficult to connect personally with this day dedicated to the 6 million lost in the Holocaust. My family left Europe well before the Holocaust. I grew up not knowing any survivors, and still don't really know any survivors. And while I've been to various Holocaust museums, I always felt like they were more like history than something I was personally connected to. College didn't make it any easier for me. Once I'd learned about the 20 million that Stalin killed, or the 30 million or more that Mao killed of his own people, I was left asking myself, why should I care more about this story than any of the other mass tragedies that have happened in history all over the world? And so for years, whenever Holocaust Remembrance Day rolled around, I felt kind of guilty as I secretly asked myself, what makes our 6 million more important? And what does this day really have to do with me? That is, until I met this guy. He doesn't know it, but I think something he said may have changed my life. I wasn't planning on doing an episode for Holocaust Remembrance Day, but while interviewing reporter Kanan Lifshitz for another episode I'm working on, I asked him what he's seeing out there that isn't really being discussed, and he brought up the threat that COVID-19 poses to Holocaust survivors.
Because it preys on the old, and there is a chance that while we are figuring out stuff, we'll lose the last witnesses in a heartbeat. I'm talking within 2 years, with practically no one around.
The global pandemic has put a very severe risk on us not hearing very precious stories.
This is Stephen Smith, Executive Director of the Shoah Foundation, which has spent the last 30 years filming the testimonies of Holocaust survivors, an effort which continues, but may have a much shorter time frame than they thought.
About 50,000 testimonies were taken in 56 countries in 32 languages. And now we distribute that to schools and to universities and other institutions like Holocaust museums around the world.
And so at the museum, we have testimony stations, we have quotes from survivors, we have a Dimensions and Testimony Theater, many different ways to allow people to learn firsthand from people who experienced the Holocaust.
It's 113,000 hours of people speaking about their lives. So what you have is this immense corpus of memory.
Memory is a word which came up over and over again while doing interviews for this piece, and it got me thinking about my difficulty forming a personal connection with the history of the Holocaust. I wanted to explore the difference between history and memory, so I called up Dana Sender, one of the founders of Zicharon Basalon, which translates literally as memory in the living room. It's an organization which brings Holocaust survivors to people's homes and small groups in order to share their memories of the Holocaust.
When you meet someone in person, you hear their story. The Shoah, the Holocaust, isn't this big thing, but really it's the story of this one person.
To learn history through the lens of the impact on an individual very often helps you identify with it. It involves empathy, and that creates better understanding than just reading something in the abstract.
Making memory present today, and not only relevant to our lives today, but rather also for the future. How do we make the memory part of who we are and what we do?
Memories are much more personal than history, and that's where we find their power. These organizations, the Shoah Foundation and Zicharon Basalon, they focus on memory because they want the Holocaust to impact us in the most personal way possible. We want these memories to transform us, to shape who we are and how we behave. If we can do that, then whether we're conscious of it or not, every day of our life, every act we perform is transforming this great tragedy into something positive.
And we are here to make things better. We are here to repair the world. And, the Shoah, the Holocaust is the essence that reminds us who we want to be as a people.
Who we want to be as a people. I think what Dana is talking about begins to answer my question about why I should care about Holocaust Remembrance Day specifically. Creating a personal connection to any of the great tragedies of history can be a tool for making me a better person and for making the world a better place. It's why everyone should read Wild Swans about life under Mao, and it's why we should all commemorate Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so that we can connect to and learn from our past to become better people. But as a Jew, connecting to the memory of the Holocaust does even more.
Well, memory plays a very big part in our identity. We actually are an accumulation of the memories of ourselves and our families and our heritage. In fact, we experience that right now around the time of Passover, when we go back in time, and all of those memories that are rolled up, going back to a time of great trouble and redemption, and forms a part of the very identity of what it means to be Jewish in the world.
When we as a people come together on a single day to remember together, we aren't just building our own personal identity, we're building communal identity. We aren't just transforming the Holocaust into a force for good, but we're also strengthening our people, our nation.
And I think that our responsibility as the younger generation is really to make sure that we take on the torch.
Up until now, for many of us, Holocaust Remembrance Day has been a passive experience. We've sat back and heard the stories, the memories, the history. The previous generation has taught us about the Holocaust. But Donna says that now, perhaps more than ever, it's time to start thinking about shifting that approach.
We're not in that space anymore. We want to talk, we want to discuss, we want to exchange ideas and thoughts. You know, it's our responsibility to hold the torch and lead on the way so the future generations know that this is their story as well.
I've spent a lot of time lately thinking about how COVID-19 is going to disrupt our lives in the long term, whether from travel to business to how we communicate. But perhaps in this instance, it can also serve as something good, as a wake-up call, pushing me and others to take responsibility for carrying on the memories of the Holocaust. This Holocaust Remembrance Day, how do you plan on sharing the memories of the Holocaust? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like what we're doing here, consider subscribing.